The transit alarm had been singing for 11 seconds when I reached the observation gallery on Ardent 9, and by the time my hand found the railing, the first of their ships had already crossed the threshold. They came out of fold space in a column, 7 vessels, broad and dark, the hulls plated in the layered iron style the Vreth Dominion had used for 40,000 years. I recognized the silhouette before the sensor board, finished its classification sweep. Every defense officer of my generation had memorized that shape. It was the shape of the thing that had come to Earth 20,000 years ago, and decided in the span of 3 planetary rotations that we were finished. I was 81 years old. I had spent 53 of those years waiting for this day. Admiral Emeritus Calloway. The duty watch commander's voice came through the gallery speaker, careful and even. They're hailing on the feast's standard colonial reclamation frequency. Of course they are, I said. Put it through. The Vreth commander's image resolved on the gallery display. 7 feet of armored chiton and rank braid, his crest plates fully extended in what their culture read as supreme authority. Behind him, his bridge crew moved with the unhurried confidence of soldiers who have never been surprised. They had done this before. Many times, on many worlds. They marked a planet expired, waited for the local population to collapse, then returned to reclaim the real estate. Clean, efficient, 20,000 years of practice. This is Siege Prefect Ora Veth of the Dominion Reclamation Arm, he said. The translation engine rendered it flat and precise. We are here to complete the colonial processing of designation Sol 3, which was placed in abeyance during the consolidation period. Identify your administrative function and prepare for census intake. I leaned against the railing and looked at him. My name is Dane Calloway, I said. I'm retired, but I've been asked to take this particular call. There was a pause. The Vreth did not pause often. Identify your administrative function, I told you. Retired. I turned slightly so he could see, through the gallery window behind me, the curve of Earth hanging in the dark. City light chains visible even from this altitude. The orbital ring catching sunlight along its full 360-degree arc. I'd recommend your sensor team run a full sweep before you proceed with any processing. Another pause, longer. I could hear, faintly, the sound of his crew beginning their scan. What they found first was the grid. Ardent 9 was one of 47 orbital defense platforms now forming the inner shell. Beyond us, at the outer shell, sat the relay stations. Not defense platforms technically, but each one carried a weapons array that the Vreth's own records had no category for, because those records were 20,000 years out of date. The grid had been built in layers over 8 millennia, each generation adding depth, each century refining the targeting architecture. It didn't look like a weapon. It looked like infrastructure. That had been the intention. The Vreth sensor operator said something to the siege prefect in their own language, low and fast. Ora Veth's crest plates shifted, just slightly, the way a man's hand moves towards his sidearm before he's made a conscious decision. You have constructed military installations in an expired colonial zone, he said. This is a violation of Dominion Reclamation Protocol. We weren't aware we'd agreed to any protocol, I said. We were unconscious for most of the meeting. Sol 3 was designated expired. The indigenous population was assessed as non-viable and placed in abeyance status. You have no standing to. Keep scanning, I said. He stopped talking. The reserve fleet had been the idea of an engineer named Solon Marsh, who had lived 12,000 years ago, and had spent her career studying the Vreth transit signature embedded in ancient rock strata. The burn pattern their fold drives left in the geological record. She had calculated a precision that her contemporaries called excessive, and her successors called prophetic, that the Vreth return window fell inside a 20,000-year cycle. She had written one paper. It had been quietly classified, quietly funded, quietly built. The Calloway Reserve, named for my ancestor, the admiral who had authorized final construction, was not the largest fleet Earth operated. It was not the most advanced. It was simply the one that had never been used, never been announced, and never been visible on any scan until the moment the Vreth transit signature crossed the outer sensor net and triggered its automated launch sequence. 312 vessels. They had been sitting in a dispersed holding pattern behind Luna for 9,000 years. running on skeleton crew rotation, their power signatures massed inside the moon's own magnetic shadow. When they rose in formation. A wall of hulls that climbed above the lunar horizon and spread across the black in a line that, from the Vreth bridge, would have looked like a second horizon forming in the wrong direction. Oraveth said nothing for 47 seconds, I counted. Those vessels, he said at last, are not in our records. No, I agreed. They wouldn't be. They were built after your last visit. That fleet configuration, he stopped, started again. That is a Dominion drive signature. Reverse engineered, I said. About 600 years to get it right. We wanted to make sure you'd recognize what you were looking at. Crest plates had gone fully flat. In Vreth body language, I had been told, that meant something between profound recalculation and the specific variety of dread that comes from realizing you have walked into a room you cannot leave. What are your terms, he said. It was not quite a question. I don't have terms, I said. I have a message. It was recorded 8,000 years ago by the engineering team that completed the reserve fleet. They asked that it be played to whoever came back first. I nodded to the watch commander. The gallery display split, Oraveth on one half, and on the other the recorded image of a woman in an engineer's coat, her hair gray, her eyes steady. Shh. She looked directly into the camera with the calm of someone who has already decided what needs to be said and has no interest in saying it twice. If you're watching this, she said, then they came back. That means we were right. It also means everything we built worked, because if it hadn't, you wouldn't be watching this. Someone else would be. She paused. Just long enough. We didn't build the reserve to destroy you. We built it because 20,000 years ago, someone looked at our world and decided we were finished. We have spent every year since then proving that assessment wrong. We are not interested in your empire. We are not interested in your protocol. We are interested in being left alone. The fleet you see is the only answer we intend to give. If it is not sufficient, we have others. If you require a formal record, Sol 3 is occupied, has been occupied, will remain occupied. We suggest you update your charts. Courting ended. Oraveth looked at me, across the channel. His bridge was very quiet. We will need to consult the Reclamation Council, he said. Consult whoever you like, I said. You know where to find us, you always have. I closed the channel. Through the gallery window, the reserve fleet held its line above the lunar horizon. 312 ships catching the sun in silence, as they had been built to do. Patient, prepared, and waiting for a morning that 20,000 years of human memory had never stopped believing. Come. We had believed it. We had built for it. And when it finally arrived, we were ready. That is all we have ever needed to be.